Hello beautiful people, my name is Bridget and welcome back to my channel. Hope you're having an awesome day. In today's video it's going to be about palettes because we love eyeshadow palettes on this channel. Today we're going to talk about palettes that I bought with the purpose of I'm going to use all the time. These seem like really good palettes that I'm going to use a lot, and that just did not happen. This happens a lot. So today I just want to talk about palettes that I was really optimistic that I'll get a ton of use out of, and it ended up not doing so for one reason or another. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get into today's video. Alright guys, before we get started, all makeup on this channel is cruelty free, so are all the products that I'm mentioning in today's video, and if you are not subscribed to my channel, I'd love to have you here. It's free to subscribe, and I'd really appreciate it if you did, so let's go ahead and get to the first palette. Also, one last side note before we get started, Azrael wanted me to mention all these palettes I purchased with my own money. These are not PR or anything, I don't get that much PR, but these are just things that I purchased with the intent to use and then didn't follow through with that and wasted some money on. I mean, not necessarily wasted, because like I still use these things and I still really like these palettes and I wanted it and I treated myself and I got it, so it's not a waste. But I didn't use it to its fullest potential. I mean, I still could because I have these things still, but I'm just saying, like, I could have got my money's worth out of it by using it more, and I just haven't done that so far. Alright. Alright, so the first one I bought off Poshmark because I was like, I could save a little bit of money doing that. I really want it, but I know I don't need this palette. But I was like, I need some pressed glitters that are really good, and honestly, I hate using pressed glitters, so I think it might have been the packaging that made me buy this one. This is the Make Waves palette by Tarte. There's water in here. That's super cool, and the color story on the inside, like I swatched this in Sephora before like I even thought about really buying it. It's so pretty. This one came broken, so I repressed it. It looks a little funny, but look how gorgeous. I freaked out when I saw the sample picture of this. It smells good. It smells like vanilla. I love this color story. It's beautiful. I love the blues. I love this pink. This really just like kind of got me, like this pink glitter shade. I love the peachy neutrals in here. They're really easy to use. I love the color story, and the quality of the palette's really good. But when do I reach for this color scheme? Like, I know I have pink on my eyes today, but there's only one pink shade in here. Like, what would I use over my crease? Like, I don't know. I don't need anything in here. I was thinking like, oh, a silver shimmer. I don't have that many silver glitters in my collection. It's because I don't wear silver glitter shimmers all the time. So there's a lot of pressed glitters in here. I don't really use pressed glitter shades. I just thought I would need them for some reason. And I don't really use this palette. I think I used it twice since I got it. I got it for the packaging, I think, at this point. I mean, the color story is really pretty and that really good quality, don't get me wrong, but like, when would I reach for this? Because it's not a color scheme I go for all the time, and it's definitely not good enough to be like its own, like, oh, it's the specialty palette for like when I need it. Because it's just a basic Tarte palette with some glitter in it. Next up, I have another Tarte palette. This is the Love, Trust, and Fairy Dust palette. Now, to be fair, I forced myself to use this when I first got it because I was like, you know what, I hate round, weird packaging. If I'm going to buy it, I better get some use out of it, so I tried. But honestly, the quality in here is just, like, okay. I think that's why. Like, a lot of the colors are similar. This is kind of a color story I do use a lot, honestly. Other than the red shade, I use this kind of, like, muted neutrals with maybe a little bit of pink to it kind of tones all the time. And this is a really pretty shimmer in the middle. Like, I love that shade all over my lid for most days. But for some reason, the quality of this one's just okay. Like, it's not as good as some other Tarte palettes, and when I have the Tartelette and Bloom palette, I don't find myself reaching for this one, because the Tartelette and Bloom palette is of amazing quality, really easy to use, and it's a square. This one's just weirder to store, and that's just like, okay. So I prefer the Tartelette and Bloom color story with some cooler browns in there to this one, so I think that's why I never use this one. Next up is some ColourPop palettes. Now we have two of the ColourPop little $12 pan, 9-pan palettes. This first one is the Ooh La La palette. I did a really cute, like, I think I did a great job on that video review of the Ooh La La palette when it first came out. I was super stoked about it. And it is a really cute, really good quality palette. And obviously, I love pink eyeshadow, even this is not what I'm wearing on my eyes today. But this is so cute. The thing is, I have a lot of pink eyeshadow. And when I'm using pink on my eyes, it's usually me testing out a new palette. And since I already have this one in here, unless I'm specifically going for a pink look with an existing palette, which isn't that often, I haven't found myself reaching for it that much. I like the quality of it. It's not my favorite ColourPop quality in the world. Some of the pinks in here are pretty decently, like, dry in texture. They perform great, don't get me wrong, and I really love it, and I stand by my review of this palette. But I don't use too many hot pink eyeshadows unless I'm testing out a new palette, honestly. I find that's kind of weird because I love pink eyeshadow. Like, I love this look today. Is it something I go for every day? No, not necessarily. But I like the quality of it. It's just not something I reach for all the time, even though I thought I would really use it all the time. Another ColourPop palette. This one I think I fell more for online, and with the like theme of like the watermelon collection. So this is the Main Squeeze palette by ColourPop. This one looked a lot cuter online, honestly. In person it's very and I feel like I have so many warm tone palettes already. If I was going to go for something like this, I'd go for the Naked Heat palette, just be a little bit less red, just because the Naked Heat palette is a lot more expensive than this one. This one is really cute, don't get me wrong, but there's not much versatility you can get out of here. Like, look at these 3 shades right here. They're different, yes, but how different are they when they come off on the eyes? Not too different. Honestly, it's just like an okay, very color scheme that I thought like, ooh, warm tone eye looks. But honestly, warm tone eye looks are not really in right now as much as they were last year. Next up is another like little mini palette. So this is the Mauve Obsessions palette by Huda Beauty. If I was traveling, I'd probably take this palette with me because it's super cute, compact, and I can get a really good look out of it, and it has good quality. I like the color story in here. However, I just forget to use it, and I feel like some of like the darker shades in here, like this shade, and this shade, are kind of dry and not my favorite formula in the world. Huda Beauty does not have my favorite eyeshadow formula in the world, and I feel like some of the shimmers are just messy. They're kind of going to go all over the lid. It's not something I want to cut my crease out and pack this on. Like, these kind of shimmers, not what I want to use it for. It's definitely for like a finger application. So for traveling, I love this palette. But in my daily life, I don't really reach for it. I love mauve colors, and I love this kind of color story. Just not my favorite quality of palette. I do like it. It does perform well. But it's not like my daily go-to, like, oh, this is really simple and easy, let's throw it over the lid. This is kind of like, oh, I'm traveling, let me find a small palette, and this is the one I pick up. Next up, I have 2 Jeffree Star palettes. Don't kill me. Okay? So the first one is Thirsty. I've talked about this before. I do like the quality of this palette. When I first reviewed it, I still like it as well. It's just the middle glitter row. Like, and then the rest of the colors in here, like, okay, they're fine. This yellow, I love yellow eyeshadow. Kind of suckered me into this entire palette. Not my favorite. I really do like the shade Kumquat and Stroke. These are really nice, like, orangey kind of shades, and they're really pretty. The quality of this palette is good. I just don't reach for pressed glitters that often, and it's a third of the palette. So I feel like this color story doesn't really call to me that much. It's cute for a moment, but I'd really have to be like thinking about what do I want to do differently with my face today to reach for this palette. So I never use it, ever. Like, I might have used it like 3 times since I reviewed it. It's not something I reach for all the time. I don't really wear orange eyeshadows like that. And then these feel like kind of out of place in this color scheme to me now that I think about it. Because I'm like, oh, it's all nudes, oranges, and like tan glittery shades. Then we have 3 colors. It seemed fun to match the packaging at the time for a summer palette. I don't know, I don't think it makes sense anymore. And I'm waiting to be put up for sacrifice after this. But the other one I don't really use. I mean, I don't really use my Jeffree Star palettes as much as I should. Honestly, Blue Blood I've still been using pretty consistently lately. And I like the color story of Aliens, so I think about it a lot. And I really like the new Morphe Jeffree Star palette. But I don't use warm eyeshadow as much as I thought I would, so I don't really use Blood Sugar. Sorry. I did a whole week of reviews, a whole week of tutorials using this when it first came out, and I did a really in-depth review on this when it first came out as well. Like, I love this palette. It's great, even though Azrael tried to use it as a scratching post and tore it up a little bit. I love the quality of this palette. The palette quality itself is beautiful. They're buttery. They're beautiful. The quality of the shadows is phenomenal. There's no, like, do not get me wrong. It's nothing but the quality of this palette why I don't use it. I just don't reach for warm eyeshadow like that. And I think of warm eyeshadow in this, even though a lot of it is neutral, the whole top row is neutral, I just don't find myself reaching for a lot of red eyeshadows or purple eyeshadows. I don't wear purple eyeshadow. I don't really wear red eyeshadow. Like, I wear pinks, and I wear, like, this kind of tone, and I wear peachies. But I don't know, I'm not reaching for reds and I'm not reaching for purples that often, so I don't really reach for this palette. Also, it's kind of hard to open. Like, it's kind of a struggle to open. And I know the more you do, you're supposed to be able to open it easier and stuff. It's just not the case. It's just kind of hard to open this thing. It's a really good quality palette. The color story is phenomenally beautiful, and he really did change the game and step up his brand with this palette. Do not get me wrong. Have you ever seen something more satisfying in your life? Maybe, maybe not. It's really cute, but at the same time, like, I'm not gonna reach for red. And if I go for pink, I have so many other palettes with pinks in it, and like light shimmers and peaches and stuff, and neutrals. So this isn't the palette I go for those things, but it is really good quality. It's just, I don't know. I just have not touched it. Next up is a palette I reviewed and I fell in love with, and the quality of this palette is so good. But I don't find myself using it that much because I have a lot of palettes with colorful stuff in it. So this is the Pinky Rose Cosmetics Bright Lights palette. This was expensive, you guys. I think I paid like $48 for it with shipping. It was expensive for like this little palette, but I wanted to support an indie brand. So this is the palette color story. So beautiful. Not a fan of the glitter shades in here. They're weird. Even though this one's really pretty, it's just weird. I'm not a pressed glitter person. Stop putting them in those little 9-pan palettes, ColourPop. If you ever hear me, please stop putting the pressed glitters in the 9-pan $12 palettes, ColourPop, please. But for this palette itself, the color story is so cute, and I really love the lime green in here. Like, this gives me life, and I feel like it was worth it. And then the yellow is okay. It's not my favorite yellow ever. But the pinks and stuff, the blues in here, they're so, so good. And even the purple in here is really pretty quality. But I have so many other palettes with bright colors in it. And when do I ever absolutely need, like, a neon color? I'm not really sure. So I don't find myself using it that much. It is definitely like, oh, I need a pop of this kind of palette. I reach into this. It's definitely not a palette I'm going to use on its own. It's definitely like, oh, I'm doing a blue look, but I need something a little bit more like oomph to it, so I'll reach into this one as well. But honestly, as a YouTuber, when you use more than one palette for a look, people get upset with you. So I usually try to use one palette for all of my eye looks, because if you do that and you sample like a shade out of here, a shade out of that, people get really angry, like, I can't recreate this. And it's really not that serious. You can recreate it with other products that you have in your collection. But, you know, for doing videos and stuff, I usually go for one palette. Or in my description box, it'll say that I used one palette because that's what I try to do so no one gets upset about it. But for like Halloween and stuff, I think I'll get a lot more use out of this palette just for like fun, cartoony looks. But as of right now, not really reaching for it. Even though it's lime green, I'm like, that's a good lime green. And lastly, I knew when I reviewed this, and you guys can probably watch the review and I'll probably say it in there too, I'm going to force myself to use this palette, and I've tried to force myself to use this palette, and I used it once last week because I have this in my like go-to palette drawer. Like, these palettes I'm using all the time. Like, I reorganized my makeup lately, so I have like a drawer where I have like maybe like 8 palettes, and I'm like, I have to use these, make myself use these, and this is in there. It's the Naked Cherry palette. I bought this thing. It was expensive. It's an Urban Decay Naked palette. It's expensive. It's like $52. That's a lot of money. But I love mauves and I love cherry. So I bought it, and it's so much more muted in person than it was online when it first got announced. So when I first saw it in person for the first time, I was kind of like, huh, it's very muted. A lot of these colors look exactly the same on the eyes. Don't get me wrong, I love the quality. I love the color story. I think it's pretty because I love a blushy, like, you guys see the colors I love. And this is it. But I forced myself to use it because honestly, everything kind of looks the same when you use this palette. So unless I'm like really in the mood for that color story that day and I know what kind of lip I'm going to wear with it, it's kind of like, Bridget, please use this palette. You spent so much money on it. Please use it. So I am still having it in my like go-to palette drawer. It's the only one from this video out of these palettes that's in my go-to drawer to use because I want to use it more. But it's definitely a situational thing. You can only get one kind of look out of this thing. I know some people are going to disagree with that statement, but honestly, it's kind of the truth. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know at least 2 palettes down below, if you have a bunch of makeup that is, that you want to get a lot of use out of, but you just haven't done it. Because I feel like I spend a lot of money on makeup, and then I justify it like, oh, it's for a review. But I need to get more use out of it than just like a review video, you know? Sometimes I feel like I buy things for like, oh, it's a beautiful color story, I'm going to get a ton of use out of it, and it just doesn't happen. But I feel like that's everything. Even with like snacks, I'm like, ooh, I need a lot of these. And then like a couple snacks in, you're like, I don't need all this. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. I will see you in the next one. If you're not subscribed to my channel, I'd love to have you here. And I'll see you later, guys. Have a great day. Make good decisions. And if you don't tell anybody what you did. Bye, guys.